Hello, in this video I will show you what is auto layout inside Figma and what are the different features that we can use for our designs or prototypes. I will be explaining each feature of auto layout with its example, so it will be much more easier to learn about auto layout. Other than this video, I have also created an landing page with using auto layout feature, so you can check out in my channel. So to get started, first we have to understand what is auto layout. So auto layout basically a feature that is used to create auto adjustable or responsive designs or prototypes. So what do I mean by auto adjustable? So over here I have created an example. In this example we have a parent frame that is called auto layout frame, and then we have 6 childs inside that. So 6 childs, and the 7th one is the position absolute, so I'm not counting that right now. So what do I mean by auto adjustable? For example, I delete this image thumbnail, that is the second child. So you can see that the rest of the childs are adjusting itself, and the parent container is adjusting its height according to its child items. And now if I go ahead and try to remove this button, that is the 6th child. So you can see that its parent frame is adjusting itself. This is how it's auto adjustable. And what do I mean by responsive? For example, if I select this parent frame and try to stretch it out, like I'm changing the width right now, so you can see that the child items inside that is trying to capture the space or the width that is given by the parent frame. So this is how it's responsive. So on the right side, you can see the shortcuts that I will be using throughout this video. So Shift+A is used to create or use for auto layout, and then the rest of them I will be explaining with their own examples. And one thing that we have to remember is that the auto layout is only applied on group or frames. So what do I mean by that? For example, I have selected this text layer and I press Shift+A, that is the shortcut. So now you can see that it didn't disturb the main layer, that was text layer, but on that layer it created a frame, a parent layer, and it called it frame automatically, and it applied auto layout on that frame. So now if I press Ctrl Z or undo, and now I press Ctrl+G, that is used to create a group. So for example, I press Ctrl+G, now it's inside the group, and if I press Shift+A, so you can see that it changed the group from group to frame, and it applied auto layout on that. So if you want to see in the layers panel that if the auto layout is applied on some layer or not, so this icon is the one that shows you that okay, on this frame or on this specific layer auto layout is applied. So the example that I have over here, you can see that on the parent frame there is the different icon which is showing me that okay, on this frame auto layout is applied, and in the rest you can see that on the 3rd child I have applied auto layout, on the 4th child I have applied auto layout. So this is the difference, and when you are working, try to make a frame or group on your basic layer, so you can apply auto layout on that. So now moving to the first example that we have for auto layout. When you are working with auto layout, you have to remember that you have some options for width and height on the frame section. So now if I click this first example, that is for fixed, and in the frame panel you can see that I have a drop down, and in drop down I have different options to select. So for the first example in layers panel, you can see that in the parent frame I have applied fixed width and fixed height. So if I try to change the width or its height, so it is not affecting the inner content, that is its child item. So it's not giving any effect or any feature to its child items. Now moving to the second one. So in the second one, I'm saying that try to hug your contents, try to grab the content that you have inside. So now, for example, if I select the child item of this frame, that is the first name or heading, and if I change the width of its child frame, so you can see that the parent frame is trying to hug its inner content. So it's trying to grab whatever width it gets from its child items. That's how it's useful, and it depends on your scenario. In some scenarios we need the hug content when we are working with auto layout. So this is the first basic step that you have to remember when you are working with auto layouts. Now moving to the third example, that is fill container. So in this example, what I have done is on the parent frame, for example, if I'm trying to change the width, you can see that the child items are trying to get the width from its parent item. So if the parent frame is like 500 pixels or 400 pixels, so the inner content is responsive and it's trying to capture the space whatever is given from its parent frame. How I have did it for the inner item, you can see that in this resizing section, I have selected fill instead of hug content or fixed width. So this is how you can play with and you can make your content more responsive and it will capture the width accordingly. So this was the first example that layout have in the frames panel for us. Now moving to the second section, and this is about auto layout panel itself. So once I create auto layout on some box or any design, so first thing to note is the icon in the layers panel, and you have the option over here, like in the panels section, you can see that there is a proper panel for auto layout, which has its different options. So the first thing I want to explain is the direction. So we have two directions. We have horizontal and we have vertical. So for example, right now I am in vertical direction, but for some reasons I want to change the direction. For example, I have created a table, and in that table I want to change the direction of column to row or row to column. So this is how you can play with it. So you can see that with one click you can change your whole prototype. And I'll be explaining this alignment, so you can also align your content really easily by using this alignment section. Now I will be moving to another property of auto layout or feature of auto layout, that is position absolute. So I have a parent frame or a box over here, but what I want to achieve is I have some discount on this specific like any product. So what I want to do is show a label on the top right of this box, but it should be on the top right. What I meant, so for example, I select this label, and in frame section you can see that we have this icon called absolute position. So it's same as position absolute in the CSS. So if I click that, it left its own space inside the parent frame. So the icon over here, you can see that it's little bit different from the auto layout. So this specific icon is telling me that this frame or this element is position absolute right now. So I can grab it and I can move it anywhere inside that frame. So for example, I want that to be on the top right all the time, and it should be responsive. So for example, if I change the width of this box, it should be on the top right all the time. So for that, select your label frame, and what you can do is in the constraints panel, you can change your constraint from top from the center to top right. So what I'm telling to this label is to remain on the top right even if I change the width of the parent frame. So now if I select the parent frame and I change the width, you can see that in your design or in your prototype, it will always remain on the top right. So this is how you can play with the constraint panel, and you can use this position absolute feature when you are working with auto layout. Now moving to another example, that is third example for alignment. So I have created a box, and in that box I have certain elements showing the content of that box, and I want to give some alignment. So you can give alignment on the parent frame and also on the child items, but it depends on the width and height of that frame. So we have 9 different options, so you can play accordingly with that. So for example, for some reason I want this content to be top left aligned all the time, so just by one click I can change its direction and everything, and the child content will try to see that what direction its parent frame is trying to give to them. So it will change according to the direction of its parent. So this is how the parent child concept is working inside auto layout. And make sure that when you are working with auto layout, your layers are really well defined, and they are in the proper structure. So for example, if your heading is on second place, you can see that the auto layout will change the whole prototype according to the sequence, the numbering of its layers. So make sure that you define your layers very well. Now moving to another example, that is padding. So if I click this box and I want to play with padding, so one option is that I can enter the values manually, like selecting for left and right or horizontal padding. So I just entered 20, so you will see that it will only affect the left and right position. You can do it manually, but if you hover or the parent frame, you can see that you will have some handles over here. So now I will select this handle and try to change the value. So what's happening right now, it's only changing the value for its top position, but I want to change it for top and bottom. So what I can do is press option on my keyboard, and now you can see that it is changing for top and bottom together, not only for top position. I'll press Ctrl Z or undo. And now if I want to change for left and right, I can do the same, like selecting this handle with the left mouse key, and after that I press option, and then I try to go inside and outside. So you can see that it's telling me the pixel value, and it's also changing the value for left and right. I will undo. But what if I want to change for all direction, top, left, right, and the bottom? So for that, what I will do is I will press shift option. Now you can see that it's telling me that you have grabbed all the directions, and with one click of mouse you can change for all the directions. It depends how productive you want to be and what is the easiest feature for you to use to. And you also have this independent padding. So for example, you just want a value for the left to be 10 pixel, so you can change the independent value from this box by using the auto layout panel. Now coming to another example, that is spacing mode. So in spacing mode, what's happening is that if I want to justify the content, I can play around with that. So in this example, I will select this second frame that's inside the parent frame, and if I click this three dots, so the first option that I get is space between, like the spacing mode. So there are two kind of spacing mode. One is packed, and the second is space between. So it is same as if you have worked with flexbox in the CSS. It's same, like over there you have the option for justify content, so it works the same way. So if I select packed, so it means that try to pack the content that you have inside this frame. So in this frame, you can see that I have reaction icons and I have a text layer, but I want them to be always the space between inside that, and the space should be automatic. I shouldn't give some space in pixel values. So I can change it from over here. And if I change the parent, you can see that it's giving the space between these two items automatically. I don't have to give the pixel value. And one of the shortcut is if you select this frame and you select this box of alignment, and you press X button on your keyboard. So this is a shortcut, like you can change your spacing with your keyboard. So you can also use the shortcut over here. Now moving to some other examples that we have is in this three dots. So if I click this auto layout parent frame and I go to this three dots, so I have another option of strokes. So if I want to include the strokes inside the width of my parent frame, so I can change it to include. But if I want to exclude them, for example, the stroke right now in the stroke panels, you can see that over here I have applied 10 pixel of strokes to this specific box. So I will go and I will try to exclude it from the layout. So now what is happening, that the 10 pixels are not counted inside the box. So the strokes are not counted with the width of its parent frame. So you can see that the width of the parent frame, if I change it to include in layout, so it's adding 10 pixels to all sides, and it's calculating, like for the width it will be calculating for left and right. So it's adding 20 pixel, and for the height it will be also adding 20 pixel to top and bottom. So this is how you can work with this. It depends on your scenario. Maybe in some scenarios you don't need the strokes to be included inside your layout, so you can change it from here. Now coming to another option, that is canvas stacking. So if I select this frame, I have applied auto layout on it. And now if I go to options, and in options, first I will select this reactions icons only. Inside the parent frame, I have another frame and I have applied auto layout on that. So in auto layout, you should remember that you can apply auto layout on parent, but also on its child, and you can override child item and it will be overridden by that line. So if I click these three dots, and if I want to change this stacking, like right now last on top is selected, so for some reason I want the first on top. So I want the like button to be on the top and the smiley button to be on the bottom. So now you can see that if I zoom in, it's changing its values accordingly. So for some scenarios you might need this feature, but remember that when working with canvas stacking, it should be above on each other. So for example, for this example, I gave the value in -6, but if I change it from -6 to 4, and if I'm working with canvas stacking, it will not be showing in that way. So it should be in minus and above of each other, so you can see the difference, or what is the difference for that. So I will undo this, and now you can see the difference. Now coming to the last option that we have in auto layout panel is text-based alignment. So what happens in this feature is that I have a button and I have a smiley icon for that button, any icon. So I want this button text to be really aligned with my icon all the time. So what I can do is select this frame, going back to these three dots, and the last option that I have is text-based alignment. So if I select this feature by selecting this check icon, so what happens that my text layer is aligned with icon by default. So if I change the value of my icon, for example, I try to change the width, so you can see that it's always stuck to the bottom, like the text will be always stuck to the bottom of this icon. This is how we can play it with it and make a better use of this. So it depends on the scenarios that you want to use. So I have explained overall 6 examples of this auto layout feature you can use for your designs or prototypes. Other than this, on my channel, I have created a landing page according to auto layout features. You can also watch it and learn from it. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.